Hi, this is Bernie with National Law Docs, and today we will be talking about the subject of what happens if the person signing a will is unable to sign their own signature. Now, this has to do with situations in which the testator is legally defined as the person who signs the will, is illiterate and can only sign their name by what's called a mark. And in many cases, I hate to sound like an old movie where you see somebody that's signing by putting an X, but in most cases the mark that's used is an X, although as I said it's become extremely rare for this to happen nowadays because fortunately most people are literate. However, the courts still take a very liberal view and state that if the person intends to authenticate a will by mark and they cannot otherwise sign their name, it will be legally sufficient, so it can be done. Now, although the testator can certainly sign by mark, as we just talked about, is there a better alternative? Well, the answer to that question is yes. The better alternative is simply have someone else sign for them. In other words, if you're Joe Smith, have someone actually sign for Joe Smith as opposed to Joe making a mark. And you can actually do that. In fact, the standard wills that we have on our site have a special space for the name and address of the person who is signing for the testator. In other words, you could have a family member sign for Joe, and the family member would state their name and their address, and that makes it very clear who's doing what. And by way of proof, if there's ever a question in a court of law, then that person who identifies themselves by name and address will be able to come into court and verify that they actually signed for that person. Now, in order to do that, however, you have to have a clear direction or request by Joe to do this. A clear direction and request of Joe to do this. So it has to be very, very clear he knows what's happening and that the authorization is there. On a final note, there is no such thing as signing for someone who is a witness. So you can't have the witness sign by a mark, and you can't have someone else sign for a witness. Make sure you pick a witness that can readily sign their name, and that kind of goes without saying. It's pretty obvious. Well, thanks for joining us. If you have any questions about these types of subjects, last wills, you can call us on our 800 number, which is 800-995-9434. All our representatives have law degrees. And if you'd like one of our forms, simply go to National Law Docs, and you will see them there. Thanks for joining us.